So today I'm going to show you some of the things that I'm using off-grid that make life a little bit easier. What's great about being off-grid today is you can live as rustic as you want. If you want kerosene lamps and candles and all that kind of stuff, you can do that. But if you want some creature comforts too, there's just a whole bunch of things out there today that make life easier and really almost mimic life on-grid without having that commercial power connection. Now, it's been a while since I posted on the channel. I absolutely love being out here in the winter. It has been snowing since November. We've got tons of snow, more snow on the way, lots of cold on the way. And being back here at the cabin in the woods in the winter is just a wonderful thing. It's so quiet, you can hear a pin drop. You go inside, you've got the wood fire burning, it's nice and warm, cook up a nice hearty meal. And really, there's no better place I would want to be in the middle of the winter than here at the cabin on the off-grid property. So I'm going to go ahead and start to show you a few things on the exterior of the property first. I will put a link to everything I show you in the description so you can quickly find it. Some of these things I've done more in-depth reviews on in the past. I'll link those videos too if you want to deep dive on anything. But let's go ahead and show you some of the things that I've set up outside on the exterior of the property to make life a little bit easier. So one of the things I installed in my outdoor lean-to shed here is these solar pendant lamps. And what I really like about them is they have a small solar panel, they have integrated batteries, they charge up, run a really long time. You can run them dusk till dawn, and they come with a remote control as well that allows you to set a timer, even adjust the color of the light if you want a warm white versus a cool white. And again, these are great because if you have any kind of outbuilding, you're going to want light. You're going to want to be able to just turn on a light really quickly. And these things have worked out really, really great. The other thing to think about when you're off-grid is off-grid security. Now, I'm in a very, very remote area. It doesn't mean still that somebody couldn't wander onto the property or a stray hunter. And when I'm not here, I like to keep an eye on the place. This camera behind me is called a Zega camera, and it is a completely remote cellular camera. Luckily, I do have a few bars of cell coverage here with one carrier, and I was able to get a card that works with that carrier, and I can log in at any time from my phone. I can pan, tilt, zoom the video footage. I could have two-way audio with a loudspeaker, and it also sets up alerts. So if somebody trespasses on the property, I'm going to know that there's somebody walking around here. But it's also great just to get alerted when there's wildlife, when I see deer and turkey and coyotes and things of that nature. I've had nothing but great success with this camera, and I think you will too. And right in front of the camera, I've got this really cool snow gauge as well. So I can see how much snow is here at the property if I'm not here, which is really cool too. So I can just log in, zoom in, and see, you know, we've got about 11 inches of snow on the ground right now. And I think probably by next week, that's going to be double that for sure. Now, I think one of the necessities, at least for me, is knowing there's somewhere to go ahead and use the facilities. Sure, you could go use the woods, but this outhouse has definitely added some creature comforts. And this is actually a imitation outhouse. There's not actually a pit in the ground here. That there is a composting toilet, which I'll show you. On the outside, though, I've got, again, little decorations, some battery operated LED lights on the wreath. And I've also got this really cool light that you can use. It's solar. It can be motion activated or it can be dusk till dawn. And it's really nice if you're coming out here in the dark, it lights up just as you're going to go ahead and enter the outhouse. Now, inside here, I've actually got a Nature's Head composting toilet. These are actually used a lot on sailboats and things like that. They just use some peat moss, believe it or not, and they're pretty fantastic. They actually disintegrate any of the solid waste, and they have a diverter for number one, and it works really good. There's actually a small fan on it that can actually pull a little bit of negative pressure on it, so there's never any kind of odor. Inside here, though, I do have a small battery with a solar panel. Powers my 12-volt lantern here. I think this adds a little nice ambiance as well, too. I've got a sink here that has a pump, foot pump on it, so that you can actually fill it up with about 5 gallons of water, pump it, and then be able to wash your hands, which is really nice as well, too. And then this is just homemade. This is a TP holder, and it is just made out of some wood made to look like a little outhouse. And then I have a little hinge door up here. You can put a second roll of toilet paper in there as well, too. One nice thing to have is, even though this isn't insulated, I've got a little insulation actually in the ceiling to try to keep in a little bit of the heat. But I run a catalytic heater in here, and it just takes the chill off, which is really nice. Or you can get one of the little buddy heaters. They have a lot, put out a lot more BTUs. They do use a little bit more propane though, and it will warm it right up in here, which is really, really nice. Now I do also have a few cellular trail cameras throughout the property as well too. These are nice. I could point them in certain directions, and they do get a cell signal as well. So as soon as something triggers them, it sends me an alert on my phone with a picture, which is really nice as well too. This particular brand is a Link Micro by SpyPoint, and what's really nice about this is you get 100 free pictures a month with no subscription. One of the really cool things now is you can get so many things that run off of batteries, and they just don't eat batteries like they used to in the past because they're LED and they're very low consumption. So if you're just adding a little bit of light outside, a little bit of decoration and ambiance, you can get these really neat lantern lamps and Christmas lights and all those sorts of things, and they'll run off of batteries for weeks, which is really, really nice as well too. So one thing I added over the summer is this gutter. And the reason I did that now is I actually have a rain barrel during the warmer months. And I would highly recommend this because if you're not near a water source, or you just want to be able to grab some water for washing something up, whatever it might be, even bathing in, you could go ahead, set up a gutter system on your off-grid buildings. You would be amazed how much water that you'll fill up in a very quick amount of time. And then you've always got some water there that you can use for washing dishes, bathing, whatever it might be. I've got it turned upside down now, and it's not filling up because obviously it would freeze and crack during the winter. But when it is standing right side up, it's really nice. It actually has some screen mesh on the top lid to help keep out any debris and pine needles, and an integrated valve right there. And like I said, it fills up really quickly, which is fantastic. The other thing that you might hear running right now is a generator. In this part of the country, we have almost no sunlight in the winter, probably for about 4 or 5 months out of the year. The roof is covered with snow. The solar panels are always covered with snow. So I do need to have a backup generator from time to time to recharge the batteries in the cabin, to run my inverter and my lights and things like that. You're definitely going to want some kind of generator if you're off-grid as a backup, even if it's to charge your batteries or to charge your power station. And there's a lot of suitcase generators out there now that are pretty affordable. This one I bought a number of years back. It's a Westinghouse. There's some great ones at Harbor Freight that are inexpensive, and they're very fuel efficient too. I think it'll run for 8 hours on a gallon of gas. And you'll see this is just a little bit of ingenuity. This is actually a big Rubbermaid container that I cut some ventilation holes in on both sides, and this keeps it out of the elements and the wet snow that we're having today as well too. All right, let's head in the cabin and I'll show you some of the other things that I'm using inside that are really helpful. Oh yeah, it feels good in here. It's getting really raw outside. Oh, these are great. These are Antler Coat hooks I got. And when you're here in the winter, you're always going to have coats and gloves and hats. And what's nice is these will allow you to actually hang a lot of things on them, which is pretty cool. So I've had the stove going for a while. It feels really good. I have a whole nother video on this stove. This is a Vermont Castings stove. Really, really like it. Really impressed, very efficient, burns a long time, but doesn't burn up a lot of wood. And my Camp Chef hot pot, this is great. I would highly recommend one of these because it is a water dispenser. You could fill it up. You can use it at the sink by just turning the lever. And the other great thing is when you're off-grid in the winter, unless you have a well, it's going to be hard to get water. So if you are in an area that has snow, you just fill up these things with snow, pack them in there, put them on your stove. It melts. You've got hot water for dishes and washing things, washing your hands, all that kind of stuff. And if you have a lot of snow, you've got an unlimited supply of water. So highly recommend the Camp Chef hot pot. Okay, let's talk about lights. Firstly, I have a whole solar system I've set up in here. I've got a separate video on that. Solar panels, goes into a charge controller, goes into batteries, goes into an inverter. the solar system works good, again, if there's actually sun. But I decided to build my own system. Since I've done that, the prices of a lot of these all-in-one units, these power stations and solar generators have come down a lot. So you might want to look at those as well too. And that runs my lighting in here. Now these are actually LED lights, so I think each bulb only draws 4 watts. So altogether this chandelier draws about 12 watts and is enough to light the main living area here of the cabin. So really nice thing to have there. The other thing that's really cool is I like to have some backup lamps, oil lamps, things of that nature. If I ever do lose my power, my batteries go dead, my generator's not working, at least I've got some way to add some light. And these are just oil lamps, reflector lamps. I've got a table lamp as well too, and they will burn pure paraffin. That's what I'd recommend. It doesn't give off any kind of smell or smoke. And what's nice about these too is even in the night sometimes turn off all of your solar or battery lights, and you've got some really great ambiance from these old-fashioned oil lamps as well too. So this is another light I have. I really like this. This is a table lamp I built for over the kitchen table. And what's really cool about it is it's actually a USB light bulb. So it is I think a 5-watt LED bulb with a USB wire on it. And you can plug that USB wire into a power station if you have one. I have it running over to my solar charge controller, which has a USB output on it. And this gives off a lot of light, and it doesn't really draw any power at all. And again, this is just the bulb I bought, and then I found that lampshade and put that over it to kind of add a little bit of an ambiance and direct the light down as well too. So again, if you're looking to add just a little bit of ambiance to your cabin, there's so many of these battery operated LED lights. I've got some right here, which are these really cool little moose lamps. And I've got Christmas lights up on you know, a tree and a wreath as well too. And again, you could put batteries in these things and they run forever. Now, one thing I did learn is when you're off grid, it is easy to eventually burn through batteries, and you don't want to have to keep buying batteries. So I would highly recommend getting a battery charger for the types of batteries that you're going to need to charge. I've gotten these rechargeable batteries. I believe they're called EBL, and they work really, really well. I've got this charger. It's a USB charger, so you can plug it into any USB port, recharge your batteries, whether you need AA or AAA batteries, and then you've got batteries to power all of these things like, you know, your Christmas lights and under cabinet lights and things like that. So definitely a must-have, if you ask me, off-grid is get some rechargeable batteries and a battery charger. And the other thing with lighting is I have these under cabinet lights, which I got. These are really great. These two run off of battery. They're LED. They last a long time. And with my rechargeable batteries, when they're dead, I can just recharge the batteries and they just snap back right in. Really nice because they add a little bit of light where you need it. You can use these in a closet or anywhere that needs a little extra light. And you just push them on and off, which is cool. Or they come with a remote control and you can actually adjust the brightness, turn them all off, and they work really great as well too. Okay, so that's going to wrap up lights. I mean, I think I've shown you every kind of light I have, any kind of light generating device. But let's talk about kitchen for a minute. This kitchen I built is pretty cool. Very simple. I actually got this wood. This is a live edge slab that I found somebody was selling. And I stained it, and then I put an epoxy finish on it to kind of give it this bar top finish. Really nice. I just think it adds a lot of cool ambiance to the cabin here. And then the cabinets I got from a big box store. I believe they were like a white birch type wood. And for the cabinet pulls, I found these online. These are, they look like twigs, right? So it's pretty cool to have that in the cabin. But let's talk about some of the kitchen devices that I use that are really helpful off-grid. So, you know, in addition to your standard, you know, forks and knives and bowls and cutlery and all that kind of stuff you have, you know, you're going to be trying to cook without having electric, without having maybe a gas stove, those sorts of things. One of the great things that I have that I use is a Coleman camp stove. And you can't beat these. They run on a 1-pound cylinder of propane, and just great to be able to quickly open that up if you need to fry something, cook something, and so forth. When the wood stove's going, no worries at all. You know, I could cook right on the wood stove, which is fantastic as well too. But as a backup, or in the summer when you don't have the stove on, the Coleman camp stove works really, really good. A few other things that I use, I've got a Coleman camp oven. I've done a separate review on this. I'll put a link down in the description as well. And this actually works really good. You put it on top of either the Coleman stove, or you could put it on the wood burning stove. And you could put a tray in there and you can bake things in there. You can reheat things. It does take a little bit longer because it doesn't get as hot as a stove. You know, I've had it up to maybe 300, 350 degrees, but it does work, and it's compact. It folds down when you don't need it as well too. If you're a coffee drinker, great to get one of these old-fashioned percolators. These things work really well. Don't need a big, heavy, you know, something that's going to use up a lot of electric like a Keurig or anything like that. Great thing about the percolator is you can actually put it on the Coleman camp stove or put it on your actual stove in your cabin, right? And it will heat up and start to brew coffee as the water boils and it percolates and then goes through the grounds. And that's super helpful as well too. Also, a teapot is great to have if you ever want to boil water for hot chocolate or tea, or you know, one of these Instamix meals. You just put your water in there, put that on your stove, and you're good to go. And this is another cool thing. I don't have it hooked up right now, but this is actually a USB rechargeable pump. And you go ahead and stick this in a 5-gallon water cooler jug, right? So you don't need a dispenser. You just go buy the water cooler and then you can refill it. This goes down here, the tube, you hit the button and it will dispense water out of the water cooler, which is really nice too. And again, just recharge this with a USB cord. Now, one other thing that's been really helpful for me, I'm using propane for my camp stove. I'm using propane occasionally for a little buddy heater, for the catalytic heater in the outhouse. And you know, you could go through these 1-pound containers pretty quickly. So I've actually found refillable containers. This is made by a company called Flame King. And these cylinders are especially made to be refilled safely by yourself. There's actually a overflow protection. There's a little bleeder valve and so forth. And you can actually buy a kit online. So if you get like a regular 20-pound tank like you would use for your grill, you actually take that 20-pound tank, turn it upside down, put this regulator on it and valve, put your refillable 1-pound cylinder on there, you bleed the air out, it fills it with liquid propane, and when it's full, it starts to shoot out a stream of liquid propane, you shut it off and you've got a full container again. And this is great because, you know, you could literally refill 20 of these with one grill container or one grill cylinder as well too. So I'll put a link on these as well. These are really great. And I keep a 20-pound tank over here so that when I need to refill these, I can just refill them right here, which is really nice as well. Okay, and the last thing in the kitchen, really cool gadget is refrigeration, right? So right now in the winter, I can just go ahead and put a cooler outside, put the food in there. It's gonna freeze, but it's not going to spoil. And no critters are going to be able to get in there because it's inside of a cooler. But what about the warmer weather? Well, if you have a lot of solar, a lot of power, then maybe a residential fridge makes sense. But if you're truly off-grid, you're not going to have ice that's going to last that long and you want to be able to keep your food cold. These are great. This is actually a 12-volt fridge. This one's made by Alpicool. And what's neat about it is it doesn't draw a lot of power when it's plugged into 12 volts. I think it's only like 40, 44 watts, something like that. You've got a fridge and a freezer and dual controls so you can adjust the temperatures of both. And you can actually put a lot of food in here. So this is going to be a really great thing to have as well. And I did a full review on this. I'll put a link in the description as well. One other thing that you might want to consider having too is a portable power station, or what's known as a solar generator. This is one that's made by Blue Eddy. They come in all different sizes, different capacities, depending on what you want. But you know, these are great to have too, because you could charge it at home, bring it with you, charge it at the cabin with a generator, or if you've got solar, charge it through solar, and you've got AC, DC, phone chargers, you know, everything built right into it as well too. So this is a cool thing too. This is actually a balsam fir incense thing. It's a little cabin. You put a little incense stick in there, you light it, the smoke comes out of the chimney, and it just gives the cabin a really nice woodsy smell as well too. This is a great thing too, not really related to the kitchen, but I wanted to show it to you. So this is a USB rechargeable shower. And so I mentioned this Camp Chef hot pot. This is a great thing too. You know, if you're off grid, you want to take a shower, fill this up with 5 gallons of water, get it warm to, you know, that's not going to scald you, but it's going to be comfortable. You drop this little device, this little pump down into there. You've got a big shower head here. You hit the button and it will create a really nice shower for you, and it lasts about 5 minutes. It's about a gallon a minute, so you could take a hot 5-minute shower. And I've done a separate video on this outside in the summer where I've actually got a shower enclosure that you can put a little heater in and heat it up in there and go take a nice hot shower, which is great as well too. So I think that's all the gadgetry I've got going on in the kitchen. Coming into the living area right here, this is a futon, and great if you've got a cabin where you're going to need a little space, you want to get a bed out of the way during the day. This one's actually made by a company called Viking Log Furniture. I believe they're out of Minnesota. And it's big, it's heavy, heavy duty. But I'll tell you, this is a fantastic futon mattress. I have never liked sleeping on futons. This folds up into a full queen-size bed. And this mattress is actually a coil spring mattress, and it is just like sleeping on a real bed. So definitely worth checking those guys out if you are looking for a futon. And then lastly, the other thing is TV. Right now, I know that's controversial. A lot of people are going off-grid to get away from TV and things like that. I've got an antenna on the roof. I'm able to pull in a few distant stations. I'm also lucky here because I get 2 to 3 bars of cell phone service. There's only one carrier I can pick up, but because of that, I can actually turn on the hotspot on my cell phone and be able to stream, you know, movies and stuff like that through my phone. And it is nice having TV if you're going to be back here really long winter nights. Good way to just pass the time sometimes. And so this is a Toshiba LED TV, smart TV. Very inexpensive, doesn't use a lot of power. I think it draws about 50 watts. And what's great is it has Amazon Fire TV built right in. So if you have a hotspot on your phone, you turn the hotspot on, connect the TV to your phone, and you can stream anything. Or again, if you're in an area where you can get HD over-the-air signals, you can put a small antenna up on the roof, point it in the right direction, and get some TV as well too. So I know there's a lot more off-grid tech and gadgets and things like that I could show you, but hopefully that gives you an idea on some cool things that I use and that have been really great here on the channel on Hemlock Ridge. So as always, thanks for watching. Glad you could come along. And remember, life is short, so make sure you get outdoors.